Welcome, everybody. Are you feeling maybe stuck or empty? Maybe you feel like you've lost yourself in life. Things have become overwhelming, whether it be, as a parent, the different things you have to handle day to day with your kids, as an entrepreneur, trying to maintain the vision of the business that you created, while trying to also live the life that you want to live. Or maybe you are an employee working for a large organization and you're just trying to keep your identity in the day to day of who you are. Burnout, survival mode, coasting mode, those things all show up in different ways, but they show up for these types of people, which is probably why you're here. And so what we want to do is we want to talk about how you can get past that, how you can stop searching for the purpose that you want or the impact you can make, how to stop feeling that stuckness, emptiness, burnout, overwhelm, stress, anxiety. I could go on and list all of them again and again and again. How do you stop that? How do you move past that? And it's great. Here's how we actually find our life's purpose. There's one question you ask yourself, and one question only, that will help you to identify what your purpose is so you can align the rest of your life around that and start living the life you want, start living a life fulfilled and getting the things you want out of that. There's that question. I ask every single one of my clients, and almost every single time it will stop them in their tracks. And it's not because it's super deep question or it's complicated. Honestly, it's almost too simple in some cases, because wow, I can't believe it's such an easy question. But in all your years of trying to figure out what your purpose is, no one ever asked you it this way. No one ever posed it to you this way. And when you finally get the answer to it, everything else, all the fogginess suddenly clears up. The confusion starts to lift. The path forward, the one that maybe you've been trying to find for years, finally comes into focus, right? And I know that feeling because I've been there myself. I've lived it. I had the job and the family, the life that you're supposed to have, checking all the boxes and such, right? Yet, I was just going through the motions, thinking man, is this all that there is? Is this all I get? I thought there was more. And I read the books, right? I took the assessments. I asked the mentors for guidance. Everybody gave me different advice, and all of it pointed towards me searching for something that was out there, not where I was. And the truth is, what I was looking for had to be inside of me the entire time. There's no way it was out there. I just hadn't seen what it was inside of me yet. And the breakthrough came just one day when someone looked at me and they asked me the one question. Here's what it is. What problem do you love to solve? And at first, it didn't make sense to me. I thought purpose was supposed to be this big dramatic role, the title, the mission statement, the thing that just it's your, that's my calling in life. I'm going to die on that hill, right? It's something that in reality, it's not something you just stumble into after, something small. You'd fall into it based off some big life-changing moment, right? That's what you think. But that one question bypasses all of the noise. It's connected, it connects you back to the very thing that you're already doing. For me, it was quietly, consistently, naturally, what am I doing authentically that's me? Something that I know I never gave my permission to see as my purpose. I realized, man, I love helping stuck people, people who are in that burnout, overwhelm, parents, entrepreneurs, people work, I love helping them get past that stuckness and see the possibilities. I love doing it. I've helped all sorts of people, friends, coworkers. Even I want to make sure I'm setting up my kids, to do this. So that over time, they're able to do these things, and not in big dramatic ways, but the small everyday moments where someone felt lost and I could help them maybe find a step forward. When I finally named that problem, everything changed. That helped me start to build the idea of what the GIVER method was built around. I started watching the same transformation happen in every person that I started to share things with. And let me turn the spotlight back on you for a moment. Because this is 100% all about you. If I can ask something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself, do you feel that stuckness and overwhelm and disconnect from what you used to be? You're going through all the supposed to's, the checklist, but your life feels like you're missing something, missing meaning. Maybe as a parent, you poured so much into everything, everyone else, you can't remember who you are on the outside, or you're showing up for everyone, yet inside there's that quiet whisper of man, isn't there more? Or as an entrepreneur, you built the business that looks great on paper, but you feel it feels misaligned with your soul now. You're solving the wrong problems every day. You're craving work that actually is going to light you up, or maybe you're the employee sitting in the meetings that don't matter. Doing the work that doesn't energize you and asking yourself, man, am I wasting my potential? And if any of that hits home for you, then hear this: your purpose isn't missing. You already have all the pieces for it. You just haven't been shown it, been able to look at it the right way inside of yourself. because your purpose isn't a role or a title. It's not a path that you stumble across along the way. Your purpose is the problem that you are uniquely gifted to solve for others. I want you to hear this. You are the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences. Meaning you are the only person, the good experiences, bad experiences, everything in between. But with your gifts, superpowers, and experiences, you're the only person who can create the impact that you can make in people's lives. Nobody else, no one else on the planet has your exact combination of those things. All the gifts, strengths, quirks, experiences, scars, battle wounds, you name it, which means nobody can solve it the way you can. And we want to unpack that for you today. I'm going to dive deep into 5 very specific ways you can look into that if you'll stick around for a little bit longer. Now, I forgot to say at the beginning of the video, I always like to tee it up. If you're new here, welcome to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake. So glad you're able to join me. Everything we're talking about today is going to be grounded in principles from my book, The Giver Method. You'll hear me reference The Giver Method a lot, so I might as well call it out. There's a link in the description. Right now, you can get it for as little as $2. Click that link to go to Amazon, get yourself a copy, or pause the video, go get yourself a copy of The Giver Method, and then come back and keep watching the video. Maybe you need to buy it for somebody else, but everything is grounded in principles and the items in this book. Now, the reason why you should get it is because I wrote it for people like you. Because I've walked the same path as you, and I want to help guide you down that path. I'm a parent of 3. I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked in that corporate sea of cubicles. I know that you can't just burn everything down, or go move to the woods to find yourself. Like, there's no magic retreat that's going to help you with these things, right? Like, I know that you have to be able to build it into the life you're already living. So that's the whole concept, is like, let's find your gifts, superpowers. Let's go create more impact and value for people. Let's have better relationships, live a more fulfilled life, all of those sorts of things. Let's find our true purpose as a part of that. So go get yourself a copy, or like I said, maybe there's someone else in your life. Maybe grab 5 copies. I don't know. Maybe you have a whole bunch of people that need to hear it. So go get yourself a copy. And that, the concept within this, like the question that I like I said, I like to pose to clients is like, what problem do you love to solve? It changed things for me. Like, it turned years of drifting into having clear direction, years of confusion into clarity. And today I'm going to show you how to do that, not by quitting your job or blowing up your life or chasing some mystical calling, like no woo-woo ideas here, but it's about learning how to recognize the patterns that you have showing up in your life all along. Everything we walk through is designed with you in mind. Tired parent, overwhelmed entrepreneur, stuck employees, like that, the quiet helper who's been minimizing their gifts for way too long. And the things we're going to cover, they help you to see the problem. Like, okay, well, here's what I do naturally that I love to solve. And connect your past experiences with your purpose, how you test your purpose, how you gather feedback so you can finally articulate it and open doors with it. Like I said, if you want to dive deeper, we're going to go into these 5 principles, stick around. Of course, you can also go get the book on Amazon, The Giver Method. Like I said, links in the description. You can go follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, under the handle of The Giver Method. Or if you go to thegivermethod.com, we have all sorts of free resources. Some of those free resources are in the description, like our survival mode assessment, which is a 3-minute thing to give you all sorts of personalized feedback, the Giver roadmap that you can go download, our newsletter list, all sorts of things. The Giver Method, it's the framework that's just waiting for you. It's designed to help you get to where you're wanting to go. And if you want one-on-one help, you want someone to guide you through it, then check out the coaching link in the description, because that might be the right fit for you instead. And then if you want me to possibly come speak to your team, community, podcast, event, stage, whatever, there's a link for that as well. Let's make sure we do all the YouTube-y things if you haven't already. Hit subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, like the video, and then comment what lands for you along the way. And with that, let's dive in. Now I'm going to dive deep into these 5 principles. And let's, so we can uncover your purpose by answering that simple question, the same question that I know has changed my life and so many others, and I want to help you with that. So the first one, first principle idea I want to cover is going to be all around the concept of the question, the problem poll. There's this journal idea that we want to do. So let your life show you what you're here to help with. This is super simple. Instead of trying to figure out your purpose in your head, or with some crazy exercise or whatever, it's no, just let your actual week tell you the truth. If you're the one that your kids find when they're overwhelmed, or the person at work that people want to vent to, or the friend who quietly fixes chaos without making a big deal out of it, those aren't random. Those are clues. And so that's where you're looking for the problems. You're pulling them as a journal, the ways that you catch the clues instead of letting them fly by you. Because oftentimes when we're coasting, or even if we're in burnout, we don't see those things. We don't see the patterns. So for a week, you're going to track the problems that just naturally find you, the ones that you can't help but think about. Even when no one's asking for your help, you're oh, I could go help with this, or I could do that. I'm really good at this thing. Or you see the people coming to you, ask you for questions. What's crazy is you do that for a week. And By the end, you're going to see the patterns. Like, they're going to point you straight at the problem that you're uniquely wired to solve. So once again, here's what I want you to do. Start it tonight. Give yourself like a couple piece of paper, a journal, a note app, like where it's like, okay, I've got 7 evenings that I'm going to do this, and it's nothing fancy. And then set a reminder on your phone for a time that actually works for you. Maybe it's 9 p.m. after the kids are in bed, and or maybe you're done with work or whatever. Like, think of it as like just a quick check-in as the most honest version of you. And you just open up that note, that piece of paper, whatever it is, and you write the date, and you create 3 headings. Okay, the first one is going to be problems people brought to me. Second one is problems that grab my attention, and the third one is problems I instinctively want to fix. Okay, so the first one, like problems people brought to me, like write down every time someone came to you with that problem, no matter how small. Be very specific, like who was it, what did they need? My colleague asked me to explain to her a new process that we were working on. My son came to me upset about a friend's situation and wanted to talk through it. My spouse asked me to help organize the weekend because like we're overwhelmed. Be specific. Number 2, the problems that grabbed my attention. Once again, things you noticed mentally and started trying to solve, even though nobody asked you to. Like things like, hey, our team meeting was going in circles, and I kept thinking about how to structure it better. Or I saw a coworker struggling to explain an idea, and I wanted to help them, so they could say it more clearly. Or I walked past the kitchen, I saw chaos, and immediately I started wanting to organize it in my head so I could figure out, what's a better system even within our own kitchen. And then once again, the third thing, what are like the problems I just instinctively want to fix? And you write down those moments where you felt the internal pull to help or improve something, whether you actually did or not. I wanted to step in when there was a tense situation between 2 people and help them understand each other. I wanted to maybe create the better system for our shared files because finding things is frustrating. Or I want to encourage a friend who is doubting themselves. Like after each entry, you're going to put one short note about how you felt, like how it felt to be in that moment. When you were like helping or had the idea to help, you got the, those things. Like, were you feeling more energized? Were you feeling maybe drained or curious? Irritated, calm, pulled in, whatever. Like, the emotional response is important because the problems that light you up or wake you up a little, those are pointing you towards your purpose. The ones that are constantly draining you, like, aren't meant to be yours to carry long term. Once again, at the end of 7 days, you set aside, these 20-30 minute windows. You go through and, like, at the end of the week, read through everything in one sitting. Grab a highlighter or different color pens and mark anything that shows you, like, that's showing up more than once in there. Those group, like, you start putting those into like grouped themes. Like, man, these are moments where I brought clarity. These were the helping people feel seen and heard, or these were about turning chaos to order. And then in one sentence in the journal, you're gonna be like, I think the problem I love to solve is helping people to whichever theme so they can whatever outcome. Think of it like this way. Like, hey, I think the problem I love helping is I love to solve is helping people with confusion and overwhelm so they can see their next steps clearly. Once again, sit with that sentence for a little bit. Test it against your week. Like, does it feel honest? Does it explain like the way you showed up in those things? If it feels a little off, maybe you need to tweak the wording until it lands, where you feel it in your chest and such, not just in your head. Because when you're busy, you're stretched in, it's easy to tell yourself, like, I don't think I know who I am anymore. And this like problem pull journal is all about like fixing that, right? In 7 days, you move from like, I have no idea what my purpose is to like, hey, I can see the type of purpose I have. I can see I'm here to help people with this sort of a problem. Not by inventing a new version of yourself, but by finally honoring like what your life has been showing you all along. And then that takes us to the second one, which is this idea of there's a gift story map that I want you to do. Your life has been dropping clues to you all along. Most people, like I said, they think the purpose is something that they have to go out there and find. But the truth is, like, your life has been trying to tell you where, like, what it is, like, where you are right now for years. And so that's this idea of, like, we're going to do this gift story map idea. It's about slowing down long enough to see those patterns. Because, like, the moments where you felt alive, the moments where you just naturally stepped in and solved things, like, the moments where you felt proud, like, those aren't accidents. Those are the breadcrumbs. It usually surprises people when they do this. Like, moments that often show up way before their adulthood. Like, sometimes the purpose was whispering to you when you were 12 years old, or at your first job, or in the way people have always replied to you without thinking twice. And so, like, you give yourself like a window of time. You're going to need probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'd love if you could give yourself 45 unhurried minutes. And you grab a notebook, you open a Google Doc, whatever, grab the whiteboard, like, write thing, like anything that gives you enough space to spread out your ideas. And then you're going to create like 3 columns of information. The first one's going to be moments where you felt alive. Second one is moments I solved something for someone. And then the third one is moments I felt proud. So in the first column of moments where you felt alive, think about like the times where you felt energized, engaged, completely lost in what you were doing. You know, your childhood counts, college counts, like last week counts, like write down 5 to 10 specific moments. Like, hey, in high school, I spent hours teaching my friends the concepts they didn't understand. Hey, last year I redesigned our workflow so it got like, and got so absorbed that I forgot to eat my lunch that day because I was so involved in it, right? You know, that second column, moments I solved something for someone. You know, these are the times that you stepped in and created something big or small, doesn't matter. Like, hey, my college roommate was overwhelmed and I helped them break, their decision into steps. Or I created a shared calendar that the family like could stop having like schedule chaos with each other. And then the third column, moments I felt proud. Once again, these aren't your resume moments. I'm not looking for like what you put on your LinkedIn profile. Like they're the ones that are meant that meant something to you. My child told me their perspective, it helped them make a better choice. My coworker said my feedback finally made something click. Once you've filled out each column, step back and look at the whole page. And like, this is where things get interesting as you highlight the patterns. Once again, grab a different color marker or whatever, like circle things, highlight things, underline. Like, do multiple moments involve like bringing clarity or helping people feel calm or seen, organizing things, making complex things simple, guiding people through, like whatever. Like, draw actual lines connecting similar moments to each other, like in all three columns. Like, where do they all connect together? You're going to start to see clustered moments start to show up where it's like, there's the intersections where your gifts live, right? And then like, you think about it this way, if you really want to take it a step further, is like you complete this sentence based on the patterns you're seeing. Hey, I notice I feel alive when I'm blank, whatever. I tend to solve problems around blank, whatever that thing is, and I feel proud when I help people blank. The thread connecting all of this is that I love solving the problem of blank so people can blank. Like, once again, just you fill in these blanks, you read it out loud. Does that feel like you? Does it explain the way people have always come to you for things? If yes, you're uncovering a really big piece of your purpose. And then the next step is like, you want to share this with somebody. Ask them, like, does this match how you see me? And their answer will almost always confirm what you found and often add something that you didn't even realize when they add more perspective to it. Because like, here's the thing, most people that are feeling that lost, disconnected, or like they've missed their calling, like when in reality, it's their whole life's been preparing them for it. And this map helps you see the things that you've lived, your struggles, your strengths, your skills that you picked up, all the weird interests you had as a kid. Like, none of it was random. They shaped the exact person who you are. You stop believing you're wandering and you start seeing like the through line of your life that's been building for the day that we are living today and the impact that only you can make. And that takes us to the third one. All right. We've got this 48-hour tryout. We want to let your purpose prove itself. You can't think your way into purpose. All right. And I say that as someone who's like spent far too long trying to do that. Most people, they're going to stay stuck. They're waiting for clarity before they ever take action. And clarity usually shows up after you move, not before. So that's why it's like, okay, 48-hour tryout. Like, it's your way of turning like your guess into something that's real, not by blowing up your life or quitting your job or doing anything like drastic. Like, just like simply giving the problem that you think you love to solve a chance to show up, like, and show you how it feels in real life for 2 days. Like, that's it. You're going to go walk around with one specific like hypothesis, an intentional look. I'm going to be like, how do I find like intentionally the small ways that I could live that thing out? Nothing dramatic, nothing performative or anything. Like, just paying attention to what energizes you, where you are naturally make a difference, the moments that make you think like, yeah, more of that, please. I love that. And so start by like writing down your best guesses based on everything we've discovered from the problem pole journey and the gift story map. Use the sentence of like, I think the problem I love to solve is blank for blank type, these specific people, specific problem for these specific people, so that they can, whatever the tangible outcome is. Once again, I love helping overwhelmed people find clarity so they can take the next step confidently. I help teams calm chaos so they can work with less stress. I help people feel heard so that they can process what they're carrying. I simplify complex so people can make informed choices. Write the hypothesis somewhere where you'll see it, like the lock screen of your phone is perfect or whatever. And then like set a 48-hour timer. And for the next 2 days, you're just testing your purpose like in the real world. Actively like look for the small ways to solve the exact problem. Like, if your problem was clarity, like, okay, well, I'm going to take 10 minutes to help someone, break something down, a decision that they're overwhelmed by. I'm going to help a coworker sort through some tangled tasks, choose the real priority. I'm going to help my partner clarify questions instead of acting too fast. If you're organizing chaos, like, I'm going to improve one messy process at work even slightly. I'm going to turn a friend's overwhelming to-do list into categories that feel manageable. If you like making people feel heard, like have one conversation where you resist the urge to fix anything, just listen. Text one person who's been quiet lately and invite them to share something. Like, you're just finding those things that you can do after each interaction that you do. Take a few minutes to capture 3 things. Like, did this energize me? Did the person get value from it? And what would I like? Would I want to do more of this? Doing this with finding every one of these purposeful moments over the next 48 hours and finding the ways that you can intentionally just interject that in as a part of that. When the timer goes off, after 48 hours, sit down and look at the full picture. If your energy was high, the impact was real, and you were like, yeah, I want more of that. Gosh, you've got something. If it felt forced or draining or whatever, it's not a failure. It's just clarity. You need to refine the problem and start over, And so you just kind of go through that sort of a process. Hey, I felt the most energized, think about it this way. During the 48 hours, did I feel most energized when you, whatever, and the biggest impact happened when I did blank. And I want to do more of that because I want to focus on blank. So the problem I'm really here to solve is this for these people. Just get clear. The more clear you are, the better, and if you want it to really sink in, tell one person close to you, because that's where it really starts to become a reality. Speak the thing into existence. Because once you test your purpose in real life, the feeling of it being impossible is gone. It just makes it makes it easy. When your experiment is small but intentional in what you're doing, you get actual evidence, not theory. It's about what aligns with your gifts, and your superpowers, and eliminating things that drain you. That's when your purpose stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like, the direction that you can trust. And then our fourth one is there's this see yourself through others interview, see them through their eyes. Let other people who love you tell you the truth. What do they see about you? Because most of us, we've got a blind spot when it comes to our own gifts and the things that we just do naturally well. And so the ways you kind of step in, the problems that you solve without thinking, they feel ordinary to you, but the people you've helped, it's anything but ordinary. They're the things that made real differences for them. And so this exercise is about borrowing someone else's eyes for a moment, because the people who you've worked with, live with you, leaned on you, grown because of you, they often, they know your purpose. They can see it more clearly than you ever could. And so when you ask the right questions, now you can start to reveal the patterns that help you start to notice what it is for you. So once again, here's what I want you to do. Choose 5 to 7 people from different parts of your life, whether it be family, friends, coworkers, someone you serve, someone that, who's watched you in stressful moments, someone who's seen you at your best, someone at your worst, whatever. You're looking for perspective, not perfection. And reach out with something hey, I'm doing some work to understand, how I naturally help people, and I'd love your honest input. Can I ask you 2 quick questions? When you think about me, what's a problem that you naturally come to me with help with, or that you'd send someone to get help with? Or can you tell me about a specific time that I helped you with something that really mattered to you? Tell them you want raw, unfiltered words, no sugarcoating, not nice answers, real observations, and whatever they say, write down the exact wording. Don't interpret what they said. Don't do the short version. Their exact language matters, because people will often describe your impact in ways that you never considered. And then here's what you're paying attention for. What problem, do they experience that you were solving? Clarity, calm, structure, confidence, understand, whatever. What outcome did they walk away with? They felt lighter, they felt seen, they felt clear, they felt more capable. And then what approach did they notice? The way you listen, the way you break things down, your ability to stay steady. And after you've talked to 5 people, put their answers into a single document and look for the repetition of what they said, the patterns in the different phrases. You help me see what I couldn't. You always make chaos feel manageable. You make me feel heard. You explain things in ways that finally make sense. Once again, that repetition is a pattern that you've been living out for years. It helps you take it to the next level as a part of that. It's almost impossible to see yourself completely in all the ways that you can help people, especially if you've been exhausted or overwhelmed. If you've been the strong one for people. But oftentimes we spend years brushing off the very things that people value the most, about us, because they're so simple for us. They come naturally to us. So this is about shows you the truth that the problems that you solve effortlessly and genuinely are hard for others, and the fact that multiple people describe it in the same way, using similar words, pointing to the same strengths, that's not a coincidence. It's your purpose in their story. And then the fifth thing I want you to focus on is like, I need you to say it so it lands. You know, you put your purpose into words that people actually feel, because the challenge that people run into is once they start finding their purpose, they can't explain it to people. Either it comes super vague, or like, you know, I help people, you know, or it's like super intense, like I'm here to change humanity, like, right? You know, and the person, you know, who's listening has no idea what it actually means. You know, and what we want instead is we want a way to talk about our purpose that feels true and grounded and clear enough that people instantly get the value you bring, not in a salesy way, like not in a let me impress you way, like just like honest clarity, you know, that the right people will connect with. And so that's like, we're going to create this like communication framework, you know, super simple and clean and grounded outcomes people understand, right? You know, and when you say your purpose in that way, like it doesn't feel forced. It feels like you're finally putting it into language that people will understand. So here's what I want you to do. Start gathering everything that you've uncovered so far, from the problem poll, the gift story, the 48-hour tryout, the seeing people, you know, it through other people's eyes, all of that raw material. And now you're going to plug it into the simple formula. Like I said, we've already mentioned it before. Hey, I love solving the problem of blank, whatever the specific challenge is, for blank specific people, you know, so they can, whatever the tangible outcome is. This is where like you have to just create that one final statement and refine it and be saying it multiple times so that you get comfortable saying it, you know. And I want it to be real, not polished, not fancy, like, you know, just like the truth of what you naturally do. So once again, the specific problem is the thing like people are struggling with when they come to you, not I'm helping people, like, you know, that's too broad. It's, you know, more like I help, you know, when they're feeling overwhelmed and stuck, chaos in their systems, they're not feeling heard, confusion, you know, that keeps them stuck, self-doubt that they can't shake. The specific people, like, who do you tend to help the most? Not, you know, look for the real groups, not everyone, not, you know, like, hey, burned out professionals, small teams drowning in disorganization, parents who feel invisible. Even better would be like it's moms or dads who feel like entrepreneurs wrestling with big decisions, employees stuck and you're feeling stuck and unseen. And then what's the tangible outcome? You know, they take the next step for confidence. They work without constant stress. You know, they make decisions without spiraling. They rediscover their strengths, like whatever they are, and you put it together. Like I said, we've gone through so many examples of the, like, I love, you know, solving the problems of overwhelmed and burnt out parents so that they can see what their next steps are clearly. You know, I help employees to see who feel unseen, reconnect with their strengths so they can actually feel confident again. Whatever it is, like once you've drafted yours, read it out loud. If it feels stiff, tweak it. If it feels too formal, maybe loosen it up. Like the statement should sound like something that you would actually say in a normal conversation with people. Like that's the whole concept here, because like here's what happens. Like knowing your purpose is one thing, but when you can say it to people that it like they just connect with and they can feel instantly, like that's where the real connection starts to happen. You know, it will actually open doors for you. It helps people, the right people, find you, opportunities to align with who you are, and helps you show up with confidence instead of confusion. You explain it simple, and honestly, people don't just hear you, they feel it. And once that happens, like your purpose stops being some quiet internal truth and starts becoming something that shapes your relationships, your work, the direction of your life, and how you show up every single day. You know, and as I want to bring this all together and have it all land for you, like think about it this way. Once again, your purpose, it's not hiding out there in the world somewhere waiting for you to discover it. It's not a job that's waiting. It's not some title or a role or a version of success someone told you to go chase. Your purpose is the problem that you just naturally love to solve, the thing that only you can solve the way you can. You know, the thing that you do without forcing it, the thing that people quietly rely on you for, the things that make you feel more like yourself every time you do it. The question that you have to ask yourself that cuts through the noise is, what problem do I love to solve? Because it connects you back to something that you're already doing. You just haven't realized it yet. Once again, you don't need to overhaul your life. Just pick one of the things we've talked about today. It doesn't matter what it is. Just start somewhere. Just all that matters is that you do something. You know, before you close this video, give yourself 60 seconds to try, like, where you think through what, like, say that thing out loud. The problem I help people with was, you know, and when I did, it felt blank. And that sentence will tell you more about your purpose than hours of thinking ever will. If it energizes you, pay attention. If it drains you, once again, that's information too. It's not failure. Your body knows, your brain knows. Like, you just have to learn the languages that they're telling each other. And then if you want to dive deeper into this, once again, that's where you're going to go get yourself a copy of the GIVER method on Amazon. The link's in the description. It's like I said, it's on sale right now, so you can get yourself a copy. You can head to thegivermethod.com, you know, get more details, join the newsletter list, take the assessments, stuff like that. Like, everything I teach is designed to help you to reconnect with your gifts and build a life around the value like that you naturally create. If you want help walking through that one-on-one, then check out the coaching link down below. See if that makes sense for us to book a call. And then if you have a podcast, a team, community, stage, an event, like whatever, like an audience that needs this message, I love to pour that into them. So check out the link below about speaking and podcasting. And of course, let's do those YouTube things, like, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, drop a comment which thing resonated with you the most. And hear me on this, because this part really does matter. You're not wandering aimlessly, you're not behind, you're not missing your purpose. You're already living small pieces of it in the ordinary moments that you're brushing off as no big deal. Those moments where you just naturally step in, the moments where someone feels lighter because of you, the moments where time disappears, those aren't accidents, they're the true breadcrumbs. These are the challenges that are going to energize you instead of draining you. They're pointing you somewhere. The people who come to you for the same kind of help, that are pointing you to the same sort of a place. The moments in your past life that you felt meaning, once again, they're all pointing you to the same place. The struggles you've had, they're not wasted. They're built, they built your strengths and who you are today. The setbacks weren't detours. They shaped your superpowers, the experiences, the beautiful ones and the brutal ones. Made you uniquely equipped to solve the very specific problem that people have right now in the way that nobody else can. The thing we talked about, these principles, these practices, they're the doorways back to yourself. Taking all the shattered pieces of your life and putting it together. So the question is, like I said, it stopped me for years until I thought of it well, what's the one thing I love to help people with? When you recognize it will change your whole life, I promise you that. And so start today, start small, whatever it is, start where you are. That one question, 1 week of the patterns noticing, one insight that hits a little deeper than you expected. That's all it takes to begin. That's how you stop feeling disconnected and start building the life around the problem that you are uniquely designed to solve. The one that brings you tons of energy and meaning and impact every single time that you step into it. You are so much closer to that than you think. And there are people waiting for you to do that. So let's go find it. Let's go make that a reality. And I promise you, the universe will always pay you back when you do. Hopefully you've been able to take some stuff from this video. Check out the other videos on the channel, of course, and keep an eye out for our upcoming videos as we release them. And hopefully we'll see you in one of those real soon. Have a great rest of your day.